Mitesh was arrested, he insisted that everything was fine, claiming he and his wife had a wonderful relationship. He claimed they shared everything and were blissfully happy. Perhaps his arrogance, stemming from his success in manipulating Jessica, led him to believe the police would bend to his will as well. His arrogance, however, was both misplaced and false. Mitesh pleads not guilty. The prosecution will need a strong case.
It looked like it'd been planned for months, which was a scary thing, going and working alongside them both for that long.
A search of Mitesh Patel's computer revealed huge numbers of searches which related to the murder of his wife.
They are quite remarkable in their lack of sophistication. They show us a lot about Mitesh's thinking about his absolute blinkeredness to the outside world, about his sense of his own destiny and his own importance.
There was even a video of how to strangle a woman to death. And he had the temerity to claim that the two of them had watched it together, had done searches together. The prosecuting counsel pointed out that there was no evidence of any such search on his wife's computer.
The evidence presented in court shows that Mitesh had wanted to end the marriage for a long time.
It didn't take long before he started writing to Amit about her having a leasehold, and that leasehold being up. In other words, probably as early as 5 years before he killed her, he was talking about getting rid of her so that he could be with his lover.
For me, it feels like somebody who's playing out a role in a movie and who doesn't realise that this is reality.
He had everything, you know, a lovely wife, lovely home. He had a business that were doing well, that were on the rise. Why would you want to throw your life away? You know, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Mitesh Patel wanted to kill his wife to start a new life with his soulmate, the GP, Amit Patel. He'd arranged over £2 million worth in life insurance policies and had even Googled, do life insurance policies pay out if someone is murdered?
Then he's researching Australian property, he's researching how to make a will. The naivety of it is quite remarkable, how completely self-centered this man is, that he fails to realise how suspicious this must look. There was this absolute belief that he was entitled to whatever he wanted, even if that meant murder. In the days leading up to Jessica's murder, we have a number of alarming developments.
He was trying to set the scene. Not only did he say to a neighbour of theirs that Jessica was, quote, too trusting, and that one day she was going to end up getting herself murdered.
Little would the neighbour suspect that actually Mitesh was being serious at this stage, that there was some degree of seriousness to Mitesh's comments.
Just days before the murder, he sent a text to his lover, Amit, saying, "Do you think this is a bad plan?"
I mean, the naivety combined with the self-centeredness is breathtaking, and together they make a very dangerous combination, because they make somebody who sees no barriers to achieving and going for what they want.
The prosecution then deliver their most damning evidence yet.
In a really innovative investigative technique, police examine the data recorded by Mitesh's health app.
Most people probably have very little idea of the amount of information that's actually being recorded by their phone. Simply the fact that you've got your phone switched on and you're carrying it around with you, it's recording information, all sorts of information about where it is, what it's doing.
What they discover is that in the early evening period, there's been vigorous activity by Mitesh.
The activity that was recorded by the health app showed that there was movement and then a period of stillness and then a sudden burst of movement.
Activity that police believe is him setting up the ransacking of the house.
It would have been recorded accurately to the minute, and it's those timings that were available on the device that the police would have used to effectively construct a timeline of evidence of what happened. The police would also have been able to show from evidence from both phones together that there was a period of motion when both phones were doing the same thing at the same time. This would have been when Patel was taking the victim's phone, his own phone in his pocket, and discarding it outside. The period and the pattern would have been almost identical. His digital footprint that was being recorded by the device in his pocket was his undoing.
Police used digital evidence to trace Mitesh Patel's actions, revealing him orchestrating the ransacking and manipulating of Jessica's phone. This clear digital trail led to his conviction. Mitesh is found guilty of murder.
I think he possibly believed that he could still get away with it. This is somebody whose whole life had been about getting away with things, hiding things, about the discrepancy between the way things are presented and the truth of things, with his upbringing and his sexuality. So I think that he thinks that he can, again, somehow get away with a lie.
Perhaps he had thought he'd been careful enough to put on a show to the outside world that their marriage really was happy, that he had her subdued enough that she wouldn't dare talk to anybody else, and that she was isolated enough from her family that she wouldn't have been able to let them know how unhappy she was. Perhaps he had spent so many years putting Jessica down and succeeding in getting away with anything he wanted to, that he really didn't think he had too much to worry about.
Mitesh is sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum of 30 years in prison.
When I heard sentence, I was glad. I was more thankful what Jess's family as well had got a bit of closure on it and got a bit of justice. So it was so obvious, all the evidence against him. But that's the type of person who obviously wants to go and drag her family through everything. But he was dragging his own family through it all as well. All the stuff that was coming out about him when he could have just pleaded guilty.
I had people coming up to me after, it broke out in the news, saying, "Didn't you shake that murderer's hand?" Which wasn't pleasant, If somebody had asked me, I would have said he didn't have it in him, to do anything like that. So, yeah. But then again, you don't know people very well, do you? Until dark secrets come out.
There is very little in the way of redeeming features about Mitesh Patel. He was a deeply wicked husband. He was a bad pharmacist. And ironically, in the end, he was even a bad murderer.
genuine and kind. And to me, she was just like the perfect little human. She never ever had words to say about anybody. It was hard for us to quite grasp why he didn't just leave her. I mean, surely it would have just been easier for him just to leave her. She'd have been happier anyway, in the long run. But he didn't even give her that chance.